It's hot. Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to see you. Got a lot of feedback, but it's good to see you. I'm glad to be here today to start off what's going to be one heck of a basketball season on the Coach Howard's Basketball Show. First I want to give a lot of thanks to everyone that has been very supportive, that has, called me, texted me, DM'd me, and just told me how happy they were and excited they were that I was going to be doing this high school basketball season. I wanted to kick off the season, though, since college is going to start before high school, I wanted to kick it off with the Coach Howard's College Preseason Special. As all the colleges right now are getting prepared for their upcoming seasons, and everybody has one thought in mind, and that's to make it to the big dance in March. And that's what it's all about. And what I did was, me being blessed to know so many college coaches throughout the country, I just picked a handful that I could get and come on the show with me tonight. And I'm so thankful that they accepted and they're coming on the show to talk college basketball, how their teams are, the new players coming in, what they expect from their teams, and other things we're going to talk about. So I'm very excited about that. It'll be Coach Shaka Smart from Marquette, Chris Holtman from Ohio State, Wes Miller from the University of Cincinnati, and Sean Miller from Xavier University will join me during these next 2 hours, and we'll talk some good basketball. But right now, I want to remind you that coming up on November the 20th, we're going to kick off the high school season. It's going to be exciting. We're going to start off talking about the All-Ohio Showcase. It's something that we've been doing for a long time now. We kick off the high school season with the one day of basketball on November the 26th. Yes, November the 26th is the All-Ohio Showcase. We're at two locations. We're at Reynoldsburg Summit and Reynoldsburg High School on Livingston. And let me give you a rundown of the games. At Reynoldsburg Summit, we're going to have, let's go to Livingston first. We'll go to Livingston. You're going to have Columbus International versus Northside Christian. You're going to have Grove City versus Youngstown Cheney. Columbus South versus New Albany. Walnut Ridge versus Westerville Central. We're also going to have Cincinnati Taft versus Akron Hoban. Harvest Prep versus state champion Richmond Heights. And Columbus Afrocentric going up against Powerhouse Lutheran East. Then we're going to slide on over to Summit campus. We're going to have Centennial versus Whitehall. We're going to have Independence versus Groveport Madison. Northland going up against Dayton Dunbar. Wayne going up against Akron Buchtel. We'll have Pickerington North going up against CVCA with the number 2 sophomore in the country, Daryl Peterson. We're also going to have Pickerington Central with the number 1 senior in the state in Devin Royal going up against Spire Academy, who's loaded every year with talent. We're also going to have, to close out the night, is going to be Reynoldsburg versus Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. So that's going to be the first show. My special guest on that show will, of course, be the GOAT of AAU basketball, Jerry Watson, as we'll talk about that showcase. We'll also have a couple of coaches come on to talk about how excited they are to be in it and their upcoming season. That's going to be the All-Ohio Showcase on Saturday, November 26th. So that's what the show is going to be about on November the 20th at 1 p.m. And we'll be excited to kick off the high school basketball season. And then we'll be with you every Sunday after that at 6 p.m. right here on Yahoo Media Network, which you can find every Sunday on YouTube and also on Facebook Live. It's going to be exciting, as each Sunday we'll come to you and we'll talk about the high school season, the games at previous and the games that's coming up. We'll talk about the top games, what happened in those games. And it'll be a great show, being able to talk to high school coaches, get their opinions on their teams, their games coming up. And we'll talk to some coaches that played the previous week. And win or lose, we're going to, discuss those games. We'll have in-studio guests. So I'll be sitting down with them and we'll be talking basketball. We'll talk about Coach Howard's top 15 players. That's right, Coach Howard's top 15 players. We're also going to talk about Coach Howard's top 10 teams each week. So I'll break it down for you, give you my opinion on the top teams that I think. This is just my opinion. And we'll talk about the players as well. It's going to be exciting, and I can't wait. I spoke with some coaches here recently that are really excited about the show. They're excited that I'm bringing it to Columbus, able to give Columbus a different view on high school basketball. And I look forward to it. And I look forward to having a special guest on my show as well. And I'll bring on different people like Zach Fleer and some others that are really, really in tune with the high school basketball scene here. And I look forward to them coming on as well. One of the things that is really going to be exciting is to talk about the top 15 players. There's so many really good basketball players right here in Central Ohio, and to be able to break them down, the top 15 is going to be exciting. I just want to let you know right now, though, I'm not going number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm just going to give you my top 15 in alphabetical order. That way, it cuts down all the confusion and say, oh, well, Coach Howard, he's got this person up here and this person. No, I don't want to do it that way, but I'm going to give you the top 15 each week. Some people's going to come in, some people's going to go out. The same way with the top 10 teams. You're going to have some teams that's going to come in, some teams that's going to go out. Now, I would love to see the top 10 stay the same, but you and I both know that that's not going to happen, because you're going to have some teams that are going to get hot and some teams that may fall off after a loss or two. But every week we'll go over those top 15 players and those top 10 players as well. One of the things that I'm really going to look forward to is just sitting down and speaking with the coaches. That's going to be very exciting. Because when you talk, we got so many great high school coaches here in Central Ohio. Just to sit down with them and to get their take on Central Ohio basketball as well as their teams is going to be really exciting. We're going to have some really good discussions. We'll talk about why hasn't Columbus or Ohio, for that matter, got the three-point shot clock yet. Those are some of the things that some of the high school coaches have expressed to me that they would really like to talk about, along with some other things that they would like to see change with Ohio high school basketball. So we'll dig deep into those as well, because in my opinion, we're long overdue for a season. And I'm not only going to always bring on Division I coaches, I'm also going to bring on Division II coaches, and I'm going to bring on Division III coaches as well. So they can give you an insight into their world too of Division II basketball and Division III basketball. Because I'm a firm believer that it doesn't matter where you go to school, as long as you can fulfill your dream of playing college basketball and to be able to get an education, that's what's most important. So we'll have, Division II, Division III, Division I coaches come on periodically throughout the season, and we'll have some great conversations with them as well. I've also put it out there to have some of the national high school basketball gurus come on and talk with me as well. And we'll talk about the portal, we'll talk about the transfer rules, and we'll talk about some of the top players in the country as well, to give you their insight on high school basketball throughout the country. So I'm excited. We're going to have our first guest on here pretty soon, Wes Miller of Xavier University, and I'm excited about it. So I hope everybody here is excited as well. This is the first show to kick off the basketball season. I've been watching the NBA games, and they're going at it, and it's going to be a great season in the NBA as well. This is a great time of year. You got, the NBA's back, hockey's back, college football, professional NFL, you've got high school playoffs, football playoffs starting, and you've got high school basketball. I mean, this is that time of year that you just sit back and just take it all in and just really enjoy and I'm excited about it as well. And I'm so excited too that my wife is allowing me to go see all these games, and that's the biggest thing. Happy wife, happy life. So I want to make sure that that's all good too. But we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with our first guest of the evening, and I'm excited for him. I've been knowing him for a very long time. He's one of the legends of college basketball and has done very well. Used to be at Xavier, left Xavier, went to Arizona, and now has come back to Ohio to take Xavier in the right direction. And we'll be right back after this.
Hello, I am Annie J. Ross Womack, the Executive Director of the Ohio Sickle Cell and Health Association, and I'm here to talk to the parents and student athletes about a very important topic. The NCAA has instituted different standards for all divisions of student athletes. Before you can play sports in any college or university, you must present a negative trait status or hemoglobin status documentation. Your hemoglobin status is taken at birth with the newborn screening. And what they do is they run your blood for any abnormality or any birth defect. There are thousands of newborn screening birth defects in this country. For more information about sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait testing, you can call our offices at 614-228-0157. Or you can visit us via web at ohiosicklecell.org.
Hey, it's Coach Howard, and I'm excited to tell you the good news about what's coming your way for this high school basketball season. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., you can catch the Coach Howard Basketball Show live on Yamo Media. We will take a close look at all the previous week's high school action, the big upcoming games, and not only that, but we'll be taking a look at the top teams and players throughout Central Ohio. I'll have special guests throughout the season, including high school coaches, players, and college coaches from all over the country. I'll also be giving out rankings of the teams and the players every 2 weeks. It's going to be a very in-depth show, and I can't wait to get started. Once again, you'll be able to watch the show live on the Yamo Media Columbus YouTube channel and Yamo Media's Facebook page. You'll also see clips posted throughout the week on all of the Yamo Media social platforms. You can also catch the audio podcast on Mondays wherever you find your podcasts. Our first episode will air Sunday, November the 20th. I'm looking forward to this upcoming high school basketball season here in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, so welcome back. And like I said, our first guest is in the waitings, and I want to introduce Coach. This is a guy that I've known for, like I said, for quite some time, probably 20 years plus. And, I was excited to hear that he was coming back to the state of Ohio. Welcome, Coach Sean Miller from the University of Xavier.
Thanks, George. Appreciate
Coach.
it. It's great to see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great.
Good, good. First of all, I want to thank you for coming on the show. When I thought about putting this together, you were probably one of the first ones I thought about. I've been knowing you for so long, and just excited that you're back here in the state of Ohio. Coach, what brought you back? What brought you back to the state?
Well, an opportunity, George. I'm grateful to have been extended that opportunity when, there was a change made this spring at Xavier. And then they reached out to me. Certainly was a very easy decision on my end. The state of Ohio, living in Cincinnati, Ohio, coaching at Xavier. The first time that I was here, as you know, I was here for 8 years, 5 as the head coach and 3 others as the assistant. And some of the best times of my life, of my family's life, have been right here in Ohio. So we enjoyed our time in Arizona. We're out there for 13 years, which is a very long time, and equally excited to be back. Last time I was at Xavier, we were in the Atlantic 10 Conference. Clearly, there's a big difference. We're in the Big East right now, and it represents a huge challenge for us, but I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm glad you're back here. You know, let's dive right into Xavier basketball. You know, last year they were 13-8 overall, 11-2 at home, 2-6 on the road. Um, what's going to be different about this team? Because you don't know much about the last team, only from what you've seen in film that you saw. Um, what can people kind of look to see from this year's Xavier Musketeer basketball team?
Well, I think, George, number one, we have a really great nucleus of returners. If you think about a year ago, one of the great things that happened for us is I was not the coach, but Xavier went on to win the NIT postseason championship. And en route, it started with Cleveland State at home, and then it became Florida, Vanderbilt, a very good St. Bonaventure team at Madison Square Garden, and then Texas A&M in Madison Square Garden. And I think when you think about a team that can win those 5 games in a row, that says something about that group. We're fortunate, although we lost Nate Johnson and Paul Scruggs, Dwan Odom, which were 3 guards that were a part of that team. We returned everybody else. So the front line of Jack Nungy, Zach Freeman, Kobe Jones. We have a couple of young players and a grad transfer that we brought in, Adam Kunkel. So a lot of that, I think, winning and experience in March, the players that I just mentioned, a lot of them were a part of that. I think it really has become a good starting point for this year for our team.
Last year this team had 5 players that scored double figures, that ended the season in double figures, and that's pretty good for a team to have 5 players that ended in double figures. And you brought in 3 players off the portal. Am I correct?
So we brought in 2 high school players, Desmond Claude. You probably remember him, George. He played for the Expressions.
Yeah,
in EYBL,
I remember Desmond.
And then Cam Kraft. Ditto for him. He was also on the EYBL circuit as well. So 2 of them are incoming freshmen. And then we brought in 1 guy from the transfer portal. His name is Sule Boom. He graduated from UTEP. And actually, he played against my team 2 seasons ago when I was the head coach at Arizona. So we were familiar with Sule, and he's a combo guard. So those 3 guys are all new. And if you think about, like a second ago, I mentioned, who did we lose? We lost some of our guards from last year, but everybody else is back. So I think obviously we're counting on those new guys to blend in with those returners.
My bad, Coach. I knew you brought in 3 players. Now, how will these guys, the new guys coming in, can you see any of these guys coming in helping you right away?
I do, simply because of the need. Again, Dwan Odom, who transferred out of Xavier, Paul Scruggs, who I know you're familiar with, 4-year player, ended up hurting his knee late in the year, but he's graduated, and Nate Johnson graduated. So those 3 guys were perimeter players that all did a great job. 2 of them, I think, were 2 of those double-figure scores you talked about. So Des Claude, Cam Kraft, and Sule Boom, they're going to fill the void that was left there, and I have great confidence in them. The 2 freshmen are great kids, as you know, coming off of the EYBL circuit and also very good high school programs. I think they're as prepared as you can be to come in and play as a freshman. They've also had really good summers.
So you bring a different style of basketball here to Xavier than maybe what the guys played last year. You have your own style of basketball, so you have to come in and you have to implement that. Has that been difficult to do? Have the guys that were here last year, has it been an easy switch for them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, they're very coachable guys. I think the thing about Xavier, George, is sometimes our tradition is lost in the shuffle of many, many things. Think about this. Xavier, in an 18-year period of time, went to 16 NCAA tournaments. 16. Think about that.
Wow.
16 of 18 NCAA tournaments. And, one of those was an Elite 8, which they lost to Gonzaga to go to the Final Four. There was another Sweet 16 a few years ago. We actually won the Big East regular season championship when Chris Mack was the coach. What's happened, though, the last 4 years, we've not been a part of the NCAA tournament. So if you go 16 of 18 and then 0 for 4, obviously that's why the change happened. And I think for me, and just moving forward, it's up to us to hopefully be able to get us back into that tournament, back to the things that I think a lot of Xavier fans have become accustomed to. And this, it's not the snap of your fingers. It's not just simply because there's a new coach or a new season. It's going to take a little time. But I will tell you, I think that the group that we have to work with this year, we have good depth. We have a lot of returning experience. I talked about a couple of those newcomers, those guards we brought in, and hopefully we can put it together and have a good season.
Share with us what your freshmen, what they bring to the table to help Xavier basketball.
So Des Claude is a big point guard. He's 6'5", got a 6'8" wingspan. He really can do a lot of different things. When you watch him play, he's kind of has like an old school game in that it's hard to speed him up. Plays under control, plays off 2 feet very well, very unselfish. Just kind of really lets the game come to him. And not only did he play on the EYBL circuit for Expressions, but he also played at Putnam Science in the New England Prep School League. They were 38-0 a year ago, and Des was the MVP of that New England Prep School tournament. So, Des, although is a freshman, I think his experience and his size really help him. He'll play the point guard for us. Cam Kraft, again, from Chicago, a guy like Des that was on the EYBL circuit and played high school basketball on a national level as well. Can really shoot the ball. If you see him, George, he's about 6'6". It'd only take you one time to see him shoot the three, and I think you'd see that he not only can shoot it, but he can score. And so I think Des and him both have good size. I think Cam will play off the ball, either wing position. Des would be a point guard, but I look for both of those guys to add depth and really contribute as freshmen.
What are you looking for from your veterans, from the guys that you have coming back from last year? Is there a certain expectation that you have from them going into this season?
I do. Our front line of Jack Nungy and Zach Freemantle, they've both been all Big East at different points in their career. Colby Jones, who's our small forward, he's preseason first team all Big East. So when you look at that front line, they're the third and fourth year players. They've been productive. They've been productive Big East players. I think Jerome Hunter is a guy well, George, from Columbus. And, again, Jerome started at Indiana, transferred to Xavier. Jerome's been through a lot of different things as well, both on and off the court, injury, fighting through different things. And I think Jerome, from a maturity perspective and experience, he's like Colby Jones, Zach Freemantle, and Jack Nungy in that they're older, they're experienced, and I think that they can bring some leadership and a lot of different things to the table. The one guard who played for us a year ago who returns is Adam Kunkel. And Adam, like those three guys, is older. So when you think of experience, you hear that all the time in college basketball. We want to get old and stay older. You need experienced guys that have been in the program. We have that, and I think we also combine that with some good newcomers.
You have talk about the guys that can you talk about the guys you're looking at, or just talk about the guys that have committed to you?
Yeah, I can't yet talk about any of the guys that even have committed to us until after the national signing date. But, when they sign the national letter, then we're all set. But, I think what I can say is, we're excited about our future. Recruiting is the lifeblood of what we do. And there's ways to recruit now. And you alluded to it at the beginning of your show. There's the opportunity to mix in transfers. Guys like Jerome Hunter, who've been through the wars. Sule Boom, we did it this past spring, taking him from UTEP. Sule was first team all-conference player at UTEP. He averaged about 17 points a game. So to get somebody who's been in college for 3 or 4 years, really understands what it is, and now bring him in for this 1 year, it's a big difference between bringing him in and maybe a guy straight from high school, right? So we're going to build our program through high school recruiting, but I do think that mixing in the right player each spring to fill a need with that high school recruiting class, I think that's what really can put all of us over the top. So, but we're excited about being able to do that.
Well, you just answered one of the questions I was getting ready to talk about, but I still want to ask you a question. But you got a big-time guy. Now, I can talk about it. You got a big-time player coming down there from Columbus, Ohio, in Dalen Swain, 6'8", point guard that you can call him a point forward, but he can play that point position. He can handle the ball. He's just smooth. He can get to the cup. He can shoot the ball. Got a nice mid-range. He's going to bring something a little different. You can use him in a number of ways, and I know you're excited about that, so I know you can't really speak on it, but you already know what it is. So there's a lot of people watching and it's going to watch this show again throughout the week, and a lot of young guys. Can you touch on how does the portal affect recruiting? Especially now that they're able to, especially now they can come right in. When they passed the rule last year, they can come right in now and play right away. How does that affect the guys in high school right now?
Yeah, so I'll answer it 2 ways. One, I think it's you have to look at each college basketball program to really get that true answer. How the portal affects you if we're recruiting you at Xavier could be far different. For example, if Texas Tech is recruiting you, just to use them as the example, right? But I will say that each spring there's going to be a lot more things happening than there used to be. The early signing period has always dominated college basketball recruiting. And then in the spring, you mix in maybe a spring signee or somebody transfers. But to your point, George, when you transferred a few years ago, you also then sat out the following year. So you wouldn't really get the benefits of that transfer for 2 seasons, 1 year sitting out and then that second year. But now to be able to get somebody that can contribute to your program each spring, that really will hit the ground running and be able to play for you the following year, it's going to take away opportunities from high school players. There's going to be, I think, more high major programs that are going to look to take the portal and take more transfers. And it's definitely going to affect a number of high school players. Whereas before they might be recruited at a higher level, I think that could be potentially spread out a little bit more now.
It's interesting. I talk to coaches every day, and, we have some great discussions on that. And when I talk to them about players, which I do like every day of my life, it just seems like it's every day. Like, a lot of them will say, well, we're not going to go the guard way because we're looking into the portal, or we're going to wait until March to see, who's coming and going from our program. So it has changed things a whole lot, especially for the D2 and D3 schools, because now the D2 schools are able to pick up guys that may be low major players now. So, it really helps them a lot as well. I was looking today online and just doing a little homework on Xavier, and they've got you, picked kind of high. They've got you guys, from what I read, they've got you guys picked 4th in your conference. I think that's, I don't know if it's good or if it's bad. I think it's pretty good, compared to the overall record last year. But I think the run that you guys made in NIT, which was great. I watched every game, and I thought the team just did a total 360. And they just played great. They just was a different team than they were during the season. And I watch a lot of Xavier basketball, always have. Are you happy with that ranking, 4th?
Yeah, believe it or not, George, I think we were picked 2nd. in the Big East this year. I think the one you might be looking at could have been before last year. But look, as you and I both know, you'd rather have people saying good things about your team than bad. I'd rather be picked second than ninth, 10th, or 11th. But until the games begin, until we really go out there and do it, that doesn't really matter. I think we're all pointing towards March, right? To have an opportunity to be in the NCAA tournament, to be maybe playing our best basketball in February and March, get stronger as the year goes on, and see if we could be a team that can make a run at Madison Square Garden in the Big East tournament as well. I think those are the things we're thinking about. I will tell you, when you watch us this year, we got a really challenging non-conference schedule. We play at Cincinnati. We play West Virginia and Indiana at home. We're in the PK 85 tournament over Thanksgiving, which is in Oregon, and we open up with Florida. I think if we win that game, there's a great chance we would play Duke. The field is Purdue, Gonzaga, West Virginia on the other side. So you think about those three games, plus West Virginia, Indiana, Cincinnati. We're going to be tested in November and December before we even get to the Big East. And then this year will be the first time ever that we've played 20 Big East regular season games.
Wow.
Before this year. Last year they aspired to do it, couldn't do it because of COVID. Some of the teams weren't able to play a full schedule. But if everybody can play a full schedule this year, you think about 20 plus that non-conference and then one game or more conference tournament. That's a lot of high major games. So I think you'll learn a lot about our team, but hopefully that experience and depth will win out for us.
Has there been, I've got a couple questions for you, and I ain't going to hold you. Has there been anybody, I've got people texting me asking me to ask you questions, which that's okay. Send your texts in, I'll ask the question. Has there been anybody that has stepped up in practice that maybe, that you really wasn't kind of on your radar or didn't do a lot last year, but they've shown you that they've gotten better, that they've really, Coach, I can contribute this year, because you have those on every team.
Yeah, I think our team, George, is hungry. We're not the program where people have been lauding us with praise. Many of these guys are in their third and fourth years, and that means that they've never played in the NCAA tournament. I think that they want to be the group that gets off that and enters March Madness again. So we've had a really good offseason. We have a strength coach that I think is one of the best in the country, Andy Kettler. We have a great facility here at Xavier. And, our guys have put in a ton of work before the year even began. With the access we had to them this summer, just working in the gym, guys getting in the gym extra. And now I think we're about 20 practices in. I think we have a very coachable team, which is a great sign. And we have some depth. So when you have depth, guys are playing for roles. Jerome Hunter, Kiki Tandy, Deontay Miles. I talked about the two freshmen that we have here, Des Claude and Cam Kraft. Those are all guys that want to play and are able to play. And I think that we've had some great competition in practice. So I've been very, very pleased with, number one, our team's overall attitude. And I think it really stems from them wanting to do things as a team, to win, to get, into the upper echelon of the Big East Conference and hopefully have a chance to return to that tournament, which I talked earlier about.
Coach, I've got two more questions for you. One of them is, how important is it to play, and you're used to this, how important is it to play the type of non-conference schedule that you're playing this year? Even for high school teams, for high school coaches that are out there looking, and there are some out there watching, tell them how important it is to play a very tough non-conference schedule.
Well, I think, number one, you have to know your team. But if you have a team that you believe in, if you have some battle-tested players, if your goals are, in college to make the NCAA tournament, I'm sure in high school to make a run towards that state championship, then I think it's the best way of getting better, improving, learning more and more about your team. So then when that moment of truth comes late in the year, late February, early March, a lot of times you've learned those lessons as far back as Thanksgiving, November, and December, And those lessons stay with you all the way to the end. You're battle tested, you're hardened. You asked about the bench guys. How you really find out who can do what is when they're thrown into the fire of games of meaning early in the year. And I think a lot of times that's when you can get to your rotation a little bit earlier, figure out what combinations of players work well together. Maybe, who's not quite ready. It might be you thought he was, but just how do you learn that? Again, playing against that great competition. So that would be my answer.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here, and I'm going to ask a couple of other coaches that's coming on this same question. A lot of people in the state of Ohio would like to see an Ohio tournament. Ohio State, Xavier, Cincinnati, Dayton, maybe Cleveland State, some other teams. Are we ever going to be able to see something like that where you guys would play and then play, just have a little round robin?
I could see that being more of a possibility in the future than less, simply because as we've all gone to 20 conference games, you're not as likely to play in those 3-game exempt tournaments like the Maui Invitational and, the Battle of Atlantis. Not to say that we wouldn't, but it's hard to go and do that and play a 20-game regular season slate in a conference like the Big East or Big Ten. So I think you want to play. You're starting to look more for those neutral site individual games and maybe, a tournament that can feature 2 games instead of 3. And, being able to stay local, not travel as much, playing against good competition. I think, George, maybe you could be on to something. I will say this, though. If I could say one thing to you for all the high school basketball coaches in the state of Ohio, which I think is, if not the best state in our country, certainly one of them for high school coaching, tournament, organization, talent. It's one of the things I think we all really enjoy coaching college in this state. It's such an abundance of talent, but got to get the shot clock. I was out west, and the state of California was one of the early. You would be surprised of the development of young people and players, how they develop playing basketball, at the high school level with the shot clock. It doesn't hinder the game. It amplifies it. It makes coaches better. It makes the pace better. And most importantly, it prepares them for what's to come, which hopefully in their case is the opportunity to play in college as well. And so that's my plug. I hope one day they can do it because I think that if this state adopted the shot clock, everything that's done so well right now would be done even better.
What's really funny, Coach, is that, and I just mentioned this right before you came on, I've had several coaches that I've talked to, high school coaches recently, that want me to do a show and do a round table of coaches and talk about that. They want to talk about that having the shot clock because they feel like, and we're way overdue, that we should have a shot clock among some other things. And they think that, Ohio's behind, and they think that it does help prepare the kids for college, because they have it in college.
No, and, George, I would say that I know, like, the difference in talent sometimes is brought up that, you want to give a school maybe that's undermanned or doesn't have as much talent the opportunity to pull the big upset. As you know from college basketball, that still can happen. But I think it's more fan-friendly. And most importantly, if you always keep the kids in mind, there's no doubt they will develop at a higher level when they start getting accustomed to playing at that speed and at that pace from ninth grade all the way through. I think it will really help them. By the way, they do it in the summer right now, right?
Yep.
If you're watching the EYBL, those guys sometimes this summer they might have even had a 24-second shot clock.
They had the 24, yes, sir.
So
yes.
What does it do? It just spurs development, and I think it's something that FIBA basketball has benefited a great deal. And I would just ask, anybody that would be against the shot clock to look at what the international game has become. And I think a large part of that is they get accustomed to playing with that 24-second shot clock when they're young, and they develop the skills and the speed and all the things that come with it. And I think it really helps their development.
Coach, I want to thank you very much. You've got on deck is one of your guys you'll be going up against this year, Coach Smart. So I thank you very, very much for coming on.
Great coach, yeah, and appreciate it, George. I know you love the kids, you love high school basketball, you love the state of Ohio, and anytime that you need me to be on your show, please call, okay?
I'm going to hold you to that because I'm going to get you mid-season. And me and my wife will be down to check out a game. We want to come to the crosstown rivalry. There's nothing like it. If people haven't been to it, you got to go to an Xavier Cincinnati basketball game. It's nothing like it. Coach, thank you very much. Tell Coach Jackson I said my love, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
You too. So, great interview with Coach Miller. I've known him for probably 20 plus years, and right now we're going to take a minute or two break, and we're going to come back with Coach Shaka Smart from Marquette University. Talk to you in a minute.
Need help with digital marketing? Yamo has what you need to optimize your digital engagement and take your business to that next level. Yamo is a full-service media collective that offers multiple services, including digital marketing, to optimize your company's success. These services include promotional and posting assistance, social media analysis, as well as market analysis. If interested, please reach out through the website or the email featured below.
Hello, I am Amy J. Ross Womack, the Executive Director of the Ohio Sickle Cell and Health Association, and I'm here to talk to the parents and student athletes about a very important topic. The NCAA has instituted different standards for all divisions of student athletes. Before you can play sports in any college or university, you must present a negative trait status or hemoglobin status documentation. Your hemoglobin status is taken at birth with the newborn screening. And what they do is they run your blood for any abnormality or any birth defect. There are thousands of newborn screening birth defects in this country. For more information about sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait testing, you can call our offices at 614-228-0157. Or you can visit us via web at ohiosicklecell.org.
You look at all of the Bengals' losses, man. You look at their losses. 3 losses that they got. All 3 of them came on the last play of the game on a field goal. All 3 losses.
Sounds like me last year.
First team in NFL history to lose 3 games in the first 5 games, all by 1 point on the last possession. You could potentially be 5-0, man.
Hey, it's Coach Howard, and I'm excited to tell you the good news about what's coming your way for this high school basketball season. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., you can catch the Coach Howard Basketball Show live on Yamo Media. We will take a close look at all the previous week's high school action, the big upcoming games, and not only that, but we'll be taking a look at the top teams and players throughout Central Ohio. I'll have special guests throughout the season, including high school coaches, players, and college coaches from all over the country. I'll also be giving out rankings of the teams and the players every 2 weeks. It's going to be a very in-depth show, and I can't wait to get started. Once again, you'll be able to watch the show live on the Yamo Media Columbus YouTube channel and Yamo Media's Facebook page. You'll also see clips posted throughout the week on all of the Yamo Media social platforms. You can also catch the audio podcast on Mondays wherever you find your podcasts. Our first episode will air Sunday, November the 20th. I'm looking forward to this upcoming high school basketball season here in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, I'm back, everybody. So we just got done with a great interview, and we're going to keep it rolling. And I'm so excited for our next guest. A lot of you are very familiar with him, Coach Shaka Smart at Marquette. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great, George. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. Did you get a chance to watch your guy just now?
Well, I just came on at the very end. I heard the discussion about the shot clock. I couldn't agree with him more. And then I heard the discussion about the tournament of the Ohio universities, colleges in Ohio. And as someone that's worked in that state and went to college in that state, that would be fun to watch for sure. I would be a fan, and I would find a way to get a ticket to that tournament.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about that all the time. You know, we've been talking about that for years. I always ask the Buckeye coaches. I'm going to talk to Wes Miller about it too. And I think it's just something that, that should be done. I mean, it's something that people have been wanting to see for a long time. And I think it would be great to have, and just not from a standpoint of really saying who's the best, just from a standpoint for the fans. Just, it would just be something nice that the fans would like to see. And I just think it would be great to have. But, hey, Coach, I'm glad that you, came on with me. I've been knowing you for quite a long time, and I've seen you steadily move up as a coach. And I remember when you took, that was VMI? No, it was, where was you at, Coach?
VCU.
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 Yeah, when you were there and you took them to the Sweet 16. Am I right?
Come on, George. We went to the Final Four, baby.
Final Four. My bad. I'm getting old. I can't remember. I can't remember everything that's happened, but I remember you did it. I remember that. I do remember that. And
we had a Columbus native on our
yes,
team,
you did.
Rob Brandenburg.
Yes, you did. You sure did. You sure did.
Rob had one of the most important highlights of that run. We hit a big shot against Florida State in the Sweet 16. They had the ball for the last shot. We were up 1. And Rob made an unbelievable block to preserve the lead. So it was good to have some Ohio flavor on that run.
Up the charts. I mean, you've moved up pretty fast. I mean, you've one of the top. I still tell people, I know you've been in the game a long time, but I told somebody the other day, he's still one of the rising. I call you one of the rising young coaches. You may not be that young anymore, but you're still doing what you do.
The thing that's fun about coaching is the guys stay the same age and we get a year older every year, but it's a chance to it keeps you energetic being around these type of guys. And I got a chance to start my coaching career at the Division II level as a graduate assistant at a place called California University of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And the guy that I worked for, his name's Bill Brown. You probably remember Coach Brown. He's from Ohio, went to Toledo. Rogers, I believe, was a great player, played at OU. And he really got me started in this game. And I'll never forget, he taught me, he said, he used to call everyone Bud. He said, Bud, I don't care what else you do, but you better learn that it's about having your guys' minds right when that ball goes up in the air. And, man, he was so right.
What has been, we're going to dive into Marquette, but what has been probably your most overall biggest experience as being a college coach? Because you started at the D2 level as a graduate assistant. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there that is going to be watching this. You started out as a graduate assistant, and here you are now. You've just totally been climbing. Is there any moment that you can say is your probably biggest moment as a coach?
What's been my most proud moment, George, is when you see guys that you've coached and they move on to even bigger things beyond college. And then even we've had 8 assistant coaches over the years that got head coaching jobs. So, honestly, seeing guys move on to great things beyond college, whether it's the NBA or some other walk of life, and then seeing the guys that work so hard on the staff, that staff that, ended up helping our program go to the Final Four, every one of those guys got a head coaching job. And so to see those guys have success, those are the moments that mean the most to me.
And I can relate to you because, there's a lot of, it's nothing that touches me more is to see my guys that have played in our program or that I've just known that's played, and you see them and they're married now, they've got kids, and they're doing well. They hit me up. I'll see them out at the gym. I'll see them at the store. They grab me. It's just, I tell them I'm so proud of them, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about right there.
That's right, everything. That's why we coach. I mean, for me, I got into coaching because I love the game, but I also got into it because of what coaches did for me. When I was coming up, I was raised by a single mom. So my coaches were like father figures to me. And the time that they spent with me, the investment that they made in me is something that I still to this day want to give back. So every day when I go into the office, I can't even say go to work because it doesn't feel like work. But when I go into our office or our gym, that's my number one motivation, is just to help these guys take a step.
And that's a conversation for another day. But, when you just said, how being a coach and really in so many words you said you're a mentor, because it's very important. And I talk to coaches and these are the things that I just wish that every coach, and it's not every coach, but, more coaches were totally involved with the kids, really, because a lot of times those kids spend more time with you than they do at home, and especially in college. But, you have so many coaches that are just coaching and they're not really grabbing them kids like they should and listening. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, the way I see it, as coaches, we're able to use basketball and sports as a vehicle to help these guys grow into the men that they're become. And that is not a given. And that's a really, really heavy responsibility. But I think coaches like you, George, and so many great coaches across the country, they thrive in that setting, making about more than just trying to win the game, but making it about how do I take this young man and turn him into the best version of himself when he leaves our program.
Exactly. Well, let's dive into some Marquette basketball. Last year, you guys were 19-13 overall, which was your first year at Marquette. Am I right about that?
Yes, sir.
And you were 13-3 at home and 4-7 away from the house. Where do you look at this team this year compared to last year, improvement-wise?
Well, I think we've grown in a lot of ways, George. Most importantly, we've grown in how we act, interact, and respond, which is how we define culture. Culture is just how you act, interact, and respond. So going into our second year, we feel like we've made some strides in that area. We lost 4 guys off of our team last year. Our team really, came together and had a very, very good season last year, including a stretch where we won 7 straight Big East games. And our guys were really, really clicking. But we have 4 incoming guys. Obviously, one of those guys is a guy that you're really close with, a guy that you spent a lot of time with, Sean Jones. And we're so excited about him. It's great to have another Ohio guy on the team. It's been a while for me, having played college basketball in that state and having spent a lot of my time in that state. I really have a lot of respect for the basketball there. So, bringing in Sean, bringing in our other new guys, we're excited about the energy they bring, and we think we got a chance to take a step in year 2.
And I'm going to get to Sean in a second. You've got, and tell me if I'm wrong, because, I get my information offline, but the 2 guys that led you last year in scoring, Lewis and Marcel.
Yes.
Lewis averaged 16.8. He averaged almost 8 rebounds a game, and Marcel 13.4. But you lost both of them.
Yes.
Is there going to be other people that you expect to step up in their spots and take over where they left off?
Absolutely. I mean, that's college basketball, George. Guys move on, whether it's through graduation. Justin Lewis, as you mentioned, put his name in the draft early. He's with the Chicago Bulls organization right now. We lost 2 other guys, so a total of 4 guys that were in our top 6. But that's absolutely, how it works at the college level, where guys move on and you've got to replace them. We're excited in the fact that we do have 8 returning players that we feel like really have grown and improved since last year. And then, as I mentioned, we've got 4 incoming guys that bring a real injection of athleticism, energy, and they're all really good team guys. So excited about our group.
So am I right to say that you only have 2 seniors coming back?
We don't have any seniors coming back, George. We've got a pretty young team. We've got
3
1
juniors.
grad transfer that we brought in, and then we have 3 juniors on our team, and then everyone else are freshmen and sophomores.
6 sophomores, right?
Yes.
Am I about right? And 4 freshmen? 4 or 5 freshmen?
Yep. Yep.
I was looking at that today, Coach, and I was like, wow. I mean, you're set. I mean, you really got something to build on here. I mean, you got a young team, and that's great. So, are you expecting any of the freshmen to come in and contribute right away?
Absolutely. Yes, we are. I mean, we recruited these guys because we felt like they'd have an opportunity to come in and make an impact. As you know, George, the jump from high school to college is a steep one, particularly when you go to a league like ours.
Exactly.
So that's going to be something that we have to help these guys with on a daily basis. As of right now, we're 4 weeks into practice, and our 3 freshmen, Sean Jones, Chase Ross, Ben Gold, they've all had really good moments, and then they've also all had freshman moments.
Hey.
And that's to be expected. But as I tell these guys, the key to your freshman year is how you respond when things don't go your way. And I think these guys have done a really good job when they have had a tough day, a tough practice, a tough workout, a challenging day academically. They've always come back, bounced back, and come back stronger the next day.
So let's talk about a guy that is from Central Ohio, raised here, played with our All-Ohio basketball program for most of his life, just at his size, never let that stop him from doing what he wanted to do. I can't remember a guy since probably Andrew Lavender that has had the heart this big that in such a small frame, but it's a baller, just a flat out ball player that don't care how big you are, he'll come at you, try to dunk over you. What does he mean to your program coming in, and what do you expect from Sean this year?
Well, I have to be careful not to expect more than is realistic because I think he's so good. So I have to really, check myself sometimes and understand he is a freshman. He is learning. There is a learning curve. There is an adjustment. But, man, he is a special young man, first and foremost, before you even talk about basketball. And he has got a way about him on the court, offensively and defensively, that is just different. I mean, that's the best word I can use to describe him. Like you said, George, he's got incredible heart. I don't even know how impactful Sean realizes he can be yet. He's getting there. But the way that we like to play with aggressiveness and pressure on the ball, there's nobody better when he's at his best. The transition we're trying to get him to make right now, George, is to go from doing it some of the time to doing it all the time. And that, is going to take some time, but I'm really, really confident that he's going to continue getting better and better. You'll be happy to know he's shooting the ball pretty darn well, which is great to see from outside. And, his competitiveness is there as strong as ever.
Something right today because I might have seen it wrong. I looked at something else. Where are you guys picked at in your conference right now? to
We were
finish
picked
this year?
pretty low.
Ninth.
We were picked pretty low.
Is it ninth?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you let
Yeah.
your guys see that stuff?
Oh yeah. We you know what? Back in the day, you used to say, hey, don't even look at that stuff. But I think now with social media and with just the way things are, I think as a coach, you'd be silly not to use it and not to talk about it and not to have the guys relate to it because it's ever present on their phones. But for us, we were picked ninth last year, and we really surprised some people. Like I said, we had a great stretch, mid-season where we won 8 out of 9 Big East games. We swept Villanova. We had a really good run that was enough to propel us to go to the NCAA tournament. And we did better than people thought. And so the good thing is we've got a group of guys, at least our returning guys, that have experience in taking what people say that they can do and then outperforming that.
Coach, I'm not going to hold you long. Couple questions. What can people that's watching the Big East and Marquette basketball, because I watch a lot of Marquette, I always have, what can they expect to see from a Coach Smart Marquette University basketball team this year?
They're going to see a lot of enthusiasm. The biggest measurement of enthusiasm for us is deflections. So you're going to see us getting our hands on the basketball a lot. The way that we play, we were 5th in the country last year in offensive tempo. So we play with really good speed, George, and pace. Speed in the full court, getting up and down the court, and then pace in the half court, moving the ball, attacking, getting good shots quickly. And then defensively, we get after you, man. You know how we play, George. You know what we do. But it's a perfect style for Sean Jones. It's a perfect style for guys that want to be aggressive and, want to really play all out. And it's going to be a fun team to watch this year.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. And what advice, there's going to be a lot of young people watching this, and what advice would you give young people on preparing to come to the next level as far as work ethic? What advice would you tell them, words of wisdom just to help them prepare themselves, whether it's D3, D2, NAIA, D1, low, mid, or high major? What advice would you give them, Coach?
Well, since you mentioned D3, George, I do have to say, since I'm on the show, I played at Kenyon College, not too far away from you there in Columbus.
That's right. That's right.
So, I have a special affinity for the small college players in the state of Ohio as well. But, regardless of the level, George, I'll give you 3 things. I think number 1 is, and this is going to sound simple, but I think the most undertrained skill that guys could really spend time on between now and the time they show up on a college campus is footwork. So I think really, really sharpening footwork, and along with footwork is readiness, because you can't really have good footwork if you're not ready when the ball finds you. But it's amazing how many guys come into college with jacked up footwork. And so my advice to young guys as they're getting ready to go off to college would be, be one of those guys that can go into college with really, really, as we call it, sticky feet. You got your pivot foot nailed down. If you have a jab series, you're not traveling off that. You're good with the shot fake. You can get in the lane. You can stride step. You can pivot. That stuff is so important at this level because more so than high school, you're probably going to have to go to option B, C, and D. Teams are going to take away option A. So that would by far be the most, specific basketball-related thing. And then 2 other things real quick, George, would be, all the different intangible parts of the game that high school coaches are trying to get their guys to respect and honor. Those are all the same very things that we care about as college coaches. So I would say for guys that, maybe they think, when I get to the college level, that doesn't matter as much. It absolutely does. Stuff like being in a stance, your talk on the defensive end, closing out with the proper hands, communication on screening actions, all that kind of stuff is so incredibly important. And then the third thing would be when you go to college, the stakes go up. You know, the coverage of the game on these goes up. The more people talking about the games and about your individual game, that only increases. So the mental part of the game and your mental focus and concentration becomes all that much more important. I would tell young players, start a pattern or a habit of meditation now before you get to college. Study the greats, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan, they all did it. And those would be a few pieces of advice, George.
Wow. 3 great pieces of advice, I would say, especially with the meditation. That's real deep.
We do one every day, George.
Do you? As a team?
Yeah. So, in fact, you should have Sean on to talk about it. But before practice or games, every single day, we do about a 5-minute meditation as a team, and the guys are all sitting together, and they like it. I mean, it's been good.
Good. Well, Coach, thank you very much. I'll be watching you this year. I appreciate it. Now, I might want to get you mid-season and see how you guys are doing. And definitely going to bring Sean on and see how he's doing. And hopefully, you'll allow him that. I know it's going to be during the season, so maybe,
No problem.
I'll check with you first. How close do you come to Columbus?
Xavier's the closest we come, so
Okay.
not too far. But we can get Sean on during the year. I'll be happy to come back. Me and Sean will come on together if you want, George. Whatever you want to do.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. I'm right here for you, but I appreciate you. Thank you very much for coming on. Me and my wife will definitely be at that Xavier game against Marquette. I look forward to seeing you then, but I appreciate you coming on. I've been knowing you quite a while, and you've always been that stand-up guy, and you've always made yourself available for me, and I truly appreciate you. And you always know if you need me, I'm a phone call away, as you already know.
Well, we'll definitely be back trying to recruit the next Sean Jones, so I'll be calling you.
All right. You know you can. You've been doing it for years. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much, and good luck on your season, Coach.
Thank you, George.
Hey, listen, it doesn't stop. It continues to get better, as I'll be coming back in a few minutes with Coach Holtman from the Ohio State University. I'm loving this, and it's good to talk to my friends that I've been knowing for a number of years. But we're going to take a minute break, and we'll be right back with the Coach Howard College Preseason Special.
Hello, I am Annie J. Ross Womack, the Executive Director of the Ohio Sickle Cell and Health Association, and I'm here to talk to the parents and student athletes about a very important topic. The NCAA has instituted different standards for all divisions of student athletes. Before you can play sports in any college or university, you must present a negative trait status or hemoglobin status documentation. Your hemoglobin status is taken at birth with the newborn screening. And what they do is they run your blood for any abnormality or any birth defect. There are thousands of newborn screening birth defects in this country. For more information about sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait testing, you can call our offices at 614-228-0157. Or you can visit us via web at ohiosicklecell.org.
Hey, it's Coach Howard, and I'm excited to tell you the good news about what's coming your way for this high school basketball season. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., you can catch the Coach Howard Basketball Show live on Yamo Media. We will take a close look at all the previous week's high school action, the big upcoming games, and not only that, but we'll be taking a look at the top teams and players throughout Central Ohio. I'll have special guests throughout the season, including high school coaches, players, and college coaches from all over the country. I'll also be giving out rankings of the teams and the players every 2 weeks. It's going to be a very in-depth show, and I can't wait to get started. Once again, you'll be able to watch the show live on the Yamo Media Columbus YouTube channel and Yamo Media's Facebook page. You'll also see clips posted throughout the week on all of the Yamo Media social platforms. You can also catch the audio podcast on Mondays wherever you find your podcasts. Our first episode will air Sunday, November the 20th. I'm looking forward to this upcoming high school basketball season here in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, everybody. Well, I'm back, and I want to bring him on right now. Coach Holtman from the Ohio State University men's basketball. Should be waiting to pop in here 1 second. Coach, can you hear me?
I got you. Can you hear me all right, George?
Yeah, there you are. Yes, sir. It looks kind of dark. You look like you look like you're in a dungeon. Like.
Sorry, man. We just got done with the scrimmage. And we are. Yeah, I've just got off the bus, man. So I'm sorry. I haven't. We're still on the way back from our scrimmage.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your busy day. How'd the scrimmage go?
You know, it was good. I think it was, you always want to scrimmage and learn a lot and take a lot from it. And as many people know, and obviously, we got a bunch of new guys and a bunch of young guys. So we got exposed in some areas, and we also did some really good things. So all in all, it was a really good day.
Well, that's what the scrimmages are for, whether it's high school or college or, whatever. That's what scrimmages are for, because that way you see where the mistakes are, you see what you got to work on, and, you get an opportunity to fix it before everything starts, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. I know you don't have much time because we ran over, Coach, and I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
No worries.
But I just appreciate you coming on. Last year you finished overall at 20-12 overall. You were 12-8 in the conference, 13-3 at home, 5-6 away from home. What do you look to do this year, Coach, to build on last season's winning record and going into the conference in March?
No, I appreciate it, George, and it's great to be on with you, man. I love, obviously, I love what you've done for the city of Columbus, and just in terms of the world of high school and college basketball. So it's good to spend a couple of moments with you here. George, I think the biggest thing for us is we've been here now 4 years when you look at NCAA tournament years. Obviously, we had the 1 year with the pandemic, and George, we've done some good things. We've beaten the number one team in the country a couple times. Been ranked in the top 15 every year we've been here. Ranked in the top 15 in the country. Been ranked in the top 10 3 out of the 5 years. Qualified for the NCAA tournament in all 5 years. But for us, we really want to, we're trying to build towards that next step for us as a program, George, and that's what we're trying to do. Now we're as young as we've ever been, and in some ways we're as new as we've ever been. 8 new players that will all play an important role. Obviously, we lost E.J. Liddell. So happy for him. He got drafted in the most recent NBA draft, and as you know, something we weren't necessarily planning on. Malachi Branham was obviously a young man who was a one and done from the city of Columbus, played in Akron but grew up in Columbus, and was the 20th pick in the NBA draft with the San Antonio Spurs.
Coach, you know, you lose two players like that, and what a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, it worked out well for Malachi because if your guy is a Sewell that went down,
Justice Sewell.
if Justin hadn't have went down, then Malachi would have been coming off the bench in a reserve role. Am I correct?
He probably would have. I think what he probably still would have started as good as he got. But your point is a good one, and that is just the volume that, you know, his shot volume wouldn't have been as significant as what it was. It probably overall hurt us as a team, obviously, to lose a player of that caliber, Justice Suing. But it did allow Malachi to really flourish.
Well, he stepped up. That's what he did. You know, that's what you do when you get those opportunities. When opportunities arise, you have to step up and take full advantage of it. And that's what he did. And and I'm sure there wasn't anybody. Now, maybe some people can say, well, I knew that he was going to do that. But I'm sure that, you know, didn't nobody expect to see what we saw from him last year. And it was good to watch. It was nice to watch. But you lose
They did expect it. They didn't tell me. Yeah, they didn't tell me because, you know, he was a really good player, right? When you're the 30th ranked player in the country, right, that's a really good player, as you know full well,
right,
George. But none of us expected it. We thought maybe 2 years, 2 and done, maybe 3 and done. But even when you're the 30th ranked player in the country, that can take you 4 years of college before you reach the dream of the NBA. So he just really flourished. He was a great kid. He went scoreless in his first, he averaged 3 points or less. But I think what he would tell you is he really benefited from the strength of EJ and the attention he got early. And then Malachi, I mean, some of the wins we had, I texted some close friends after we beat Indiana here when Malachi took over. It was 17,000, great crowd. And I said, hey, he's probably going to leave us after this year, and he probably should.
You know, I don't have much time with you because you have another engagement, but what are the people in Columbus, Ohio going to see from this year's Ohio State Buckeyes? Now, I really wanted to say we lost a really key piece that a lot of people really don't probably understand, and that's Kyle Young. I mean, that was a guy was a you know, a do-it-all guy. I've been knowing Kyle since he was in junior high. Just, you know, and that's a big loss too. That's a big loss too. But what can Columbus?
Coaches know, George. Coaches know.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
Coaches know good players.
He was a glue man.
Players that impact winning. Yes. They know players that impact winning. Like, you know it, I know it. When you see it, I've talked to, you know, guys I love. You know, Satch would text me after every game and say that Kyle played, man. Like, oh, you're gonna miss him, and I know, Satch. You know, it's just guys, we are really gonna miss him. So I to your point, hopefully we can have some guys step up and play with his level of tenacity and grit. He was a great compliment when he went down in the Villanova NCAA tournament game after we had beaten Loyola and played Villanova. You know, it was a one possession game in the last 6 minutes, and when he went down, it was so critical for us. So we're going to need, you know, guys to step up and bring the same level of competitiveness he brought.
So tell Columbus what they're going to see, can expect this year from the Ohio State University men's basketball.
I think as much as anything, George, they're going to be excited to see some really some young, exciting new faces. We have 4 freshmen and really 5 if you include Kalen Etzler, who's a redshirt freshman, who are all going to play this year. Bruce Thornton was the Mr. Basketball in Georgia. Roddy Gale had a terrific career in New York. Bryce Sensabaugh was Mr. Basketball in Florida, and Felix Okpara's a 6'11" center that came from Link. And I think all 4 are going to have a real impact. And we're going to need them. Listen, this is going to be a growth process for us. We're we're not there yet, and we saw that in stretches today when you have this many new pieces and young pieces. But I think our fans are going to be really excited to, just get to know some of these young faces.
That's good, Coach. And I know that you got to get ready to get out of here, but and I want to thank you for coming on. I wish I could keep you a few more minutes, but I know you got to go. And we all look forward to watching the Buckeyes. Columbus, Ohio loves the Ohio State Buckeyes, and you've done a great job since you've been here. And we know that you'll continue to do that, and we'll continue to support you as well. You brought in a couple, you elevated a coach and you brought in a former head coach. So you keep that experience there.
Yeah.
And I know you can't really, go ahead, Coach.
No, we're excited about our staff. We added Jack Owens from Miami of Ohio, who was the associate head coach at Purdue, then head coach at Miami of Ohio. Jack. We elevated a young man named Mike Nettie, who did a great job, and then Jake Diebler has done a great job for us in his role, and he's assumed the top assistant spot with Ryan Peden taking a head coaching job at Illinois State. And then we added Nick Kellogg from the Milwaukee Bucks, the son of Clark. Nick was with the Milwaukee Bucks the last 2 years, and we added him, and he's done a really good job. Terrence Dials as well. So I'm really excited about our staff. Our recruiting is, to be quite honest with you, it's the best that it's been in our 4+ years, 5 years. And we're really excited about this class on campus now, and then obviously the upcoming one that I can't get specific about, but I think we're pretty excited about.
Well, we all know that we all know that we've got a good one coming in there from Pickerington Central. That's Devin Royal. You can't speak on him, but I can. He's a guy that can just flat out play, can score the ball, can defend, can rebound. I think maybe there's a possibility that he's a pro one day. But right now, I don't really like to talk about that stuff. Let's get through the other stuff first. I tell kids that all the time, steps at a time, so, but he's a good one, and he's going to come in and make an immediate impact, in my opinion, at Ohio State. And I think the fans here will be glad to watch him play, along with the great recruiting class that you got coming in next year. So we'll get together and talk about that after everything is signed, sealed, and delivered, and let Columbus know how you feel about that. But thank you very much, Coach. Good luck in the season. I'd like to get you back mid-season and talk about how your season is going, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, would love it, George. Would love it. I appreciate your friendship, my man, and great show. Enjoy
hey, but before I leave real quick, I know we've been knowing each other forever, but I want to say that we've got all Ohio people. I had to say it. I got to say it. All over the Buckeye Nation. 2 coaches that are former Buckeyes, and former All Ohio, and Kellogg and Diebler, and we just love it, man. We just love it. We love it. We love it. Yeah. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Great seeing you, George.
Thank you, Coach. Thank
you.
I just had to mention that, y'all. I mean, I had to, because it's good from a program standpoint to know that, where your guys are. The Dieblers played in our program, and Jake is now the associate head coach at Ohio State, and then Kellogg, who also played with us, and we put players there year in and year out, as we do all over the country. So we're going to take a couple of minutes break, and we'll be back with the Coach Howard's College Preseason Special.
Need help with digital marketing? Yamo has what you need to optimize your digital engagement and take your business to that next level. Yamo is a full-service media collective that offers multiple services, including digital marketing, to optimize your company's success. These services include promotional and posting assistance, social media analysis, as well as market analysis. If interested, please reach out through the website or the email featured below.
Hello, I am Annie J. Ross Womack, the Executive Director of the Ohio Sickle Cell and Health Association, and I'm here to talk to the parents and student athletes about a very important topic. The NCAA has instituted different standards for all divisions of student athletes. Before you can play sports in any college or university, you must present a negative trait status or hemoglobin status documentation. Your hemoglobin status is taken at birth with the newborn screening. And what they do is they run your blood for any abnormality or any birth defect. There are thousands of newborn screening birth defects in this country. For more information about sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait testing, you can call our offices at 614-228-0157. Or you can visit us via web at ohiosicklecell.org.
Hey, it's Coach Howard, and I'm excited to tell you the good news about what's coming your way for this high school basketball season. Every Sunday at 6 p.m., you can catch the Coach Howard Basketball Show live on Yamo Media. We will take a close look at all the previous week's high school action, the big upcoming games, and not only that, but we'll be taking a look at the top teams and players throughout Central Ohio. I'll have special guests throughout the season, including high school coaches, players, and college coaches from all over the country. I'll also be giving out rankings of the teams and the players every 2 weeks. It's going to be a very in-depth show, and I can't wait to get started. Once again, you'll be able to watch the show live on the Yamo Media Columbus YouTube channel and Yamo Media's Facebook page. You'll also see clips posted throughout the week on all of the Yamo Media social platforms. You can also catch the audio podcast on Mondays wherever you find your podcasts. Our first episode will air Sunday, November the 20th. I'm looking forward to this upcoming high school basketball season here in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, okay, so we've had 3 great guests. Want to apologize once again to Coach Holtman. We ran over, and he had another engagement that he had to do. So we would have had him for 30 minutes, but sometimes these conversations go a little bit long, and that's just the way it happens. So, but it's been a great show thus far, and I've really been excited. But now I want to bring on our last guest from the University of Cincinnati, my friend, Coach Wes Miller. Coach, how you doing, man? Hey, Coach.
Coach Howard, I'm good. How you doing?
Good. So, hey, listen.
Coach, can you hear me?
Yeah. You're freezing up, but that's okay as long as we can hear your voice.
Okay.
But I know that you're at an airport, right?
I am. I've been on the road recruiting today.
So I knew that. I'm
in the Dallas airport. Yep.
Well, you told me the other day, but you still took time out to come on the show, and I greatly appreciate it. So how long do I have you for? I mean, when's your plane leave?
My plane leaves in about an hour.
Oh,
so you have me for about as long as you need, Coach. We're no rush.
I want you for at least about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But so, Coach, you're out of town recruiting. I know you stay busy with that. And, a lot of people around this area are probably not familiar with you. You built a very successful program at UNC Greensboro. Talk about coming from UNC Greensboro, where you built a great program, to coming to the University of Cincinnati, and what's that been like for you?
Yeah, Coach, it's been a really healthy transition, a really good transition, but certainly I'm really proud of what we did at Greensboro years. And I thought we just have a couple. That's something that was in year we're competing for the tournaments with a bunch of NITs. You move into the high major game, and you move into a program like Cincinnati where there's so much tradition, there's so much expectations, and obviously you're just coaching at a higher level in every way. There's going to be transition there, the other part that, we got the job a year and a half ago, Coach, and there was 3 guys on the roster the day that we took the job. So, yeah, trying to, and late in the spring, a year and a half ago, trying to put a roster together in a really short period of time was a challenge. But I was kind of proud of what we did in year one, putting it together late, being really competitive. I wasn't pleased with how we finished the year last year, but I'm really pleased with some of the foundational things that we've done in a year and a half as we're trying to build, a very sustainable program here at Cincinnati as well.
Coach, you finished the season last year at 18-15, and which is not bad for your first year, considering, like you said, when you came in, the hand you were dealt. You were 7-12 in the conference, 12-6 at home, and you were 6-9 away from home. How do you look to build from that, and take that up another level?
Well, the first thing we looked at, Coach, going into the month of February, so after 20-some games, we thought we were right there in terms of being in the tournament. And we were in the top teams in our league. So we'd had a pretty competitive year for 2/3 of the year. We just didn't finish well. So the thing that we tried to do this offseason was build upon some of the successful things we did, and then realize that we needed to kind of work for that end of the year, right? You got to work for that finish, and the things that you do in April and May and July and August, they really show up in February and March in college basketball. So we tried to coach this offseason stepping stone, and building our day-to-day approach, building a certain mentality, and we tried to build off some of the positive things that we thought we did in year one, which was our guys practice with great effort every day. They practice with great purpose. They really kind of bought into some of the changes in style of play. So we tried to build on that stuff, and then we also tried to improve some other areas. We were an offensive team here, so we've really tried to clean up kind of offensive execution. So that.
So you basically had to start all over, didn't you?
Yeah, well, you don't realize it, but I took the job and you start building a program again, and I'd been somewhere for 10 years, and you kind of forget what it was like those first couple of years. So there were some days in the office last year I'm going, man, we're kind of back to square one. But listen, I'm not complaining. This is a big time program. It's a big time opportunity for myself and my staff, and we got to make the most out of every day.
Well, Coach, one thing that I know for sure is that, I follow you guys a lot, and you guys are my friends, and you and your staff have done a great recruiting job. I mean, it's unbelievable, really, the recruiting job that you guys have done, and just, setting yourself up. And that's what happens when a new coach comes in. Most of the time when a new coach comes in, he has to bring in his style of players, but they did it even better for you. I mean, you came in, you had 4 guys, and you said, well, okay, I'm starting early. It made it a little harder for you. So you had to really go that extra mile in recruiting, didn't you? How was that for you?
Well, we did get a couple guys to come back out of the transfer portal.
Okay,
we
great.
got here. And so to me, I think, listen, I'm proud of what we've done in recruiting, and that is the future of our program. What you're doing in terms of not just attracting talent, but attracting the right talent, the people that fit us and fit our values. But I think for us, it started with the guys that have been in this program, that have embraced the way that we're trying to do things, that have embraced a new style of play. So I think it's these returning guys and this continuity that we've not just had, in the first year we were here, but this continuity from year one to year two. Some of our incoming transfers and incoming freshmen have gotten a lot of attention publicly, but I keep trying to redirect it to these guys that stuck with us, right? And retention in college basketball now is so much more rare because of the transfer portal. So I'm proud of these guys that have now been in this program for 2 or 3 years. And I think it's going to start for us there. But no doubt about it, George, I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, or that my staff's doing on the recruiting trail. the future is really bright for Bearcat basketball.
Coach, how has the portal, you know, okay, so let me just say how I put this. I had a coach tell me the other day, Coach, that it was so high of a number in the percentage of kids that go into the portal and they never end up playing college basketball again. What would you tell young guys watching this about jumping in the portal and being careful of how they handle their college basketball careers?
Yeah, no question. I think for all the successful stories we hear about, Coach, of guys that make the change and have great success, there's 10 more stories that are sad, where somebody gave up a scholarship and gave up an opportunity to develop in a really good program and ended up in a much worse situation or no situation at all. And so what I'd first tell young people is, before you make a change, I'd ask yourself the reason you're making the change. If it's something that you just can't live with, right? And listen, there's always reasons that we should go another direction, and I'm not going to discount those. But if it's just because things are difficult, because you're not playing as much as you'd like early, or you don't like how hard you have to work or how much you have to compete, I think what people find when they transfer is they're running into those same challenges in the next place. So sometimes you're going to the next place just to confront the same challenges. And if it's those inevitable challenges that we're going to experience in college basketball, I think you're better off and you're better served to fight those challenges and overcome them where you are. And obviously that retention and that familiarity with that program is going to give you a lot of success because, we see this with a number of guys, even the guys that have a ton of experience that transfer into our programs. They're still new to our program. So even if they have some experience in college basketball, they're still like freshmen in the sense they're learning our style of play, our offense, our defensive principles. And so it's not always easy when you go to the new place. And if you ran from things that are inevitable, you're going to deal with those things at the next place as well.
Would you say that a young man or a young woman should have a place to go before they jump in the portal?
I think it's really difficult because the rules say you can't, right? The rules say you need to have your name in the portal before you communicate with other institutions. Certainly, there's a lot of back channels that are going on. I think we all know that. But I've always believed this, Coach. I believe you do things the right way, and if you feel like if a place is not the right place for you, you don't do things the wrong way. Maybe sometimes the right way is harder. I think we were all taught that as kids, but you put your name in the portal and then you start the recruiting process from there. I'd also encourage kids to have open dialogue with their current coaches. I'd go into a coach's office and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about transferring, but I want to get some of this stuff off my chest. And maybe there's some common ground just from communicating. So certainly, I'm sitting here giving all this advice. I think as coaches, we have to create that dialogue too. And we have to create those bridges so the relationships we have with our players is the most important thing we do every day. So hopefully the guys at Cincinnati feel like they can have those kind of conversations with us before they feel like they have to go jump into a portal. But I would encourage student athletes to have conversation, have dialogue with their coaches before they make rash decisions.
And a lot of times there's so many people out there that is giving, bad information to the kids and telling the kids to, man, you need to leave this school and you need to go somewhere else. And in reality, that's really not what they're supposed to do, because if a kid is playing at the other school or he's getting minutes, just continue. I tell them when they call me, I say, just continue to work hard. And I do tell them that, Coach. I tell them exactly what you just said. Sit down, have a conversation with your coach, because you can probably get your answers and you guys can come to some type of understanding. But don't just jump in the portal. And I had a kid that called me recently, Coach, and said thank you, because I had that talk with him and I told him, don't just jump in the portal. Go talk to your coach. And he said they worked it out, and he was very thankful for that. So, Coach, what can people look to to see from Cincinnati basketball when they watch Cincinnati basketball this year?
Well, listen, I hope anytime you watch a team that has Cincinnati on its jersey, the first thing you see is a team that's committed to team, that makes sacrifices for each other, for what's, best for our team. So I hope you see the team dynamic first and foremost. I believe when you watch us play, you'll see a certain type of focus and effort on the defensive end of the floor. Like, we're going to be scrappy, we're going to be edgy, we're going to get after people on that end of the floor every single possession. I can tell you that's what's going to be demanded by the coaching staff and in practice every day. And then I do think we've really improved offensively, Coach. I think we've added, number one, the guys that have returned have really worked on their game and improved. And I think we've added some guys with some real offensive firepower, whether it's Landers Nolly, who transferred to us from Memphis, that's been a 40% three-point shooter in his career, double-figure scorer in his career. The guys like Kalua Zekpe from Old Dominion, Rob Fennessy from Indiana, and then some incoming freshmen as well.
Well, I'm going to say the same thing to you. I'm going to impose this to you because I see that there's a possibility that you might be playing against Ohio State Buckeyes. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, up in Maui, because you play Chaminade on November the 7th. But no. In Maui, yeah, it says that you're going to play either Ohio State or San Diego State, correct?
We play Arizona on Monday in Maui in the first round of the Maui Invitational.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm not really sure where everybody falls on the bracket from there. You're a coach, so we're always kind of looking at what's ahead. But I do know Ohio State's in the field. And so there's a chance that we would have had to travel all the way halfway across the world to play a game where we're a couple hours from each other.
I'm going to ask my producer if he could put that back up on the screen again, that schedule. Okay, so it shows me that you play Cleveland State and you play Miami of Ohio. So, Coach, one of the question I'm going to impose to you is this. Wouldn't it be great to have a Ohio State, UC, you can bring Coach back up if you can, Ohio State, UC, Xavier, Dayton, whether it's Cleveland State or whoever else, have that on a weekend. Is that something you would be open to? Because the state would love to see it. And it's not just a matter of, well, who's the best team in the state? It's really for the fans, something the fans would really love to see. That would be great to have.
Absolutely, Coach. I'll tell you what, coming from, born and raised in North Carolina, played my college basketball in the state of North Carolina, and then coached my whole career in the state of North Carolina. I thought that was the basketball state, all these years. And when I got up to Ohio, I think one of the biggest surprises was how passionate people in this area are about college basketball. It blew me away. I keep telling everybody, back home where I come from, that I think this may be more of a college basketball area than where I came from. And so I think the idea is phenomenal. You can see from our non-conference scheduling, we've prioritized playing local games. We play Xavier every year in the Crosstown Shootout already, but we would love to do some type of Ohio event in the non-conference and would be really supportive of that.
Yeah, because they talk about it, people down here talk about it quite a bit. And I think that would be something nice because, just like you got two major universities in one city down in Cincinnati, and you guys can be playing at home on the same night and have two sold-out arenas. That's crazy, And I was telling people earlier when I was talking to Coach Miller, that if you've never been to the Crosstown Shootout, it's nothing like it. When you guys play Xavier, I'm bringing my wife down this year, Coach, so make sure you got the great seats for me, okay? But I'm bringing my wife down because I want her to experience that and see. We've got a son that goes there, Kyle. He goes down to UC, and I want her to see. Talk about what was that like when you first experienced that first game with UC, with Xavier. I mean,
with Xavier. I was fortunate, Coach, to play in the Duke North Carolina game as a college player.
Yeah, you had some for people. I'm sorry, Coach, but for people that don't know, I sent him something. I know he was laughing when I sent it to him, but I sent him some pictures I found online, and Coach had game back then for North Carolina. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, it's been a long time ago, Coach. As you know, they forget quickly, but I wish the players heard that. I wish our players knew. But no, in all seriousness, so I felt like I was a part of one of the great rivalries, and when I got a chance to participate in that. And when I got the job, certainly I'm aware of the Crosstown Shootout, but you hear so much about it in the community every day. There's so much anticipation. But it really reminded me in a lot of ways leading up to it, like Duke Carolina. It wasn't just a big deal that day. It was a big deal the entire week leading up to it. It's almost like it's a holiday in the city of Cincinnati. And then I have to say, when we walked into the Cintas Center at Xavier, it's probably the loudest basketball arena I've ever been in for that game. I've never been in a game that was that loud, and I've been fortunate to be in a lot of great environments. And just the intensity, it was something really different, really unique. We didn't play well, so you know how as a coach you think about that quite a bit. But really excited to see what it looks like at UC and Fifth Third Arena this year. And our fans are, I think, the best in the country. So if people thought the environment last year at Cintas was good, I bet it'll be twice as good this year in Fifth Third.
Coach, I want to thank you for coming on, but the one last question I want to ask you, because there's going to be a lot of young players watching this. What advice would you give to the young guys on preparation, not just to come to college, but just working on their game? What advice would you give them in preparing and getting their self, just getting better?
Yeah, I'd always challenge them the same way I challenge our players every day. Do your daily habits match your expectations of what you're trying to do as a player? If you have an expectation of being a high-level college player at the highest level, do your habits every day, are they high level? If they're not high level relative to the people you're playing in high school with, or the people on your AAU team, or the people in your community, then how can you expect it? You're going to meet your expectations as a player and that type of thing. So I'd always challenge everybody to look inside first and look around and see if they're approaching it at the level that they want to play at. I tell our guys this all the time, Coach. Everybody in college basketball right now is practicing the 30 of 40 days leading up to the first game. So just being out there practicing is not making you very different. It's not separating you. Everybody's getting shots in the morning in college basketball right now before practice. Everybody's getting 3 to 4 strength conditioning sessions before practice. Just by being there, just by going hard, you're not separating yourself. It's the manner at which you approach it, the purpose that you have, the extra things you're doing to take care of your body, to sleep, to eat, so that you can get more out of your body and train it harder the next day. That's the things we challenge our players on, and I challenge every young player that is serious about this game to think about the game the same way.
Coach, I want to thank you very, very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You guys are, you're my guys down there, and I look forward to seeing you guys pretty soon. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. You're a busy guy.
Hey, well, Coach, I really appreciate you having me on. I apologize I'm not sitting in my office with a better background here and probably better video and audio, but next time I'll make sure we're in a better spot for it. But I appreciate you working with me and let me do this while I'm traveling and out here on the road recruiting.
What that lets everybody know is that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come on the Coach Howard College Preseason Special, and I will catch up with you during the middle of the season to see how you're doing. Can I get you on that one?
Oh, you got me, Coach. And listen, I appreciate you, Coach, and our friendship and relationship, and appreciate all the things you do for all the young people that you work with. I've seen it up close and personal a year and a half. You care about the young people whose lives you're in. So appreciate that.
Thank you very much. And make sure you tell my guys I said hello when you get back. Your coaches. Those are my guys. And I'll talk to you soon.
I will, Coach.
All right, Coach.
Thanks,
Talk to you
Coach.
soon. Thank you. So we'll be back in a second. That wrapped up a good evening on the Coach Howard's College preseason special, and we just had some great guests. We're going to take a minute or so away, and we'll be back to wrap up the Coach Howard College preseason special.
Hello, I am Amy J. Ross Womack, the Executive Director of the Ohio Sickle Cell and Health Association, and I'm here to talk to the parents and student athletes about a very important topic. The NCAA has instituted different standards for all divisions of student athletes. Before you can play sports in any college or university, you must present a negative trait status or hemoglobin status documentation. Your hemoglobin status is taken at birth with the newborn screening. And what they do is they run your blood for any abnormality or any birth defect. There are thousands of newborn screening birth defects in this country. For more information about sickle cell disease, sickle cell trait testing, you can call our offices at 614-228-0157. Or you can visit us via web at ohiosicklecell.org.
Need help with digital marketing? Yamo has what you need to optimize your digital engagement and take your business to that next level. Yamo is a full-service media collective that offers multiple services, including digital marketing, to optimize your company's success. These services include promotional and posting assistance, social media analysis, as well as market analysis. If interested, please reach out through the website or the email featured below.
Hey, listen, it was a great show. Coaches came on, and I asked them some of those important questions for the young people watching so you can hear it straight from these top college coaches, how important it is to develop that work ethic and work hard to prepare yourself and just to get better, mentally and physically. I was excited about tonight, and I'm looking forward. I'm very much looking forward for what's ahead. I'm looking forward to talking with some of the top high school coaches in Central Ohio, being able to share some of their stories and to really dig deep into some of the things that they really want to talk about. And we're going to really dig into this shot clock situation, because this is something that's important to the state of Ohio and to the college, to the high school coaches. So remember, we're coming back on November the 20th, which is my birthday, by the way. That's my birthday. So we're going to get in early at 1 o'clock with my special guest would be the GOAT of AAU basketball in the Midwest, Jerry Watson, as we talk about the All-Ohio Showcase coming up November 26th at Reynoldsburg High School Summit and Reynoldsburg High School Livingston, with a full day, a full slate of high school basketball with some of the top players in the state and top teams in the state as well. So it's great working with, I'm so proud to be working with Yamo Media, and the job that they do is incredible. They're directing and producing my show, so I'm very thankful for them as well. And I thank everybody. But by the way, you can follow them on TikTok at Yamu On Air. You can follow them on YouTube on Yamo Media Columbus. You can follow them on Instagram at Yamo Media, on Twitter at Yamo Media, and on Facebook at Yamo Media 614. And make sure that you watch throughout the next couple of weeks, because you'll see clips of the show and part of our discussions. But I look forward, and you know you'll hear from me, but I look forward to seeing you all on November the 20th at 1 p.m. as we kick off the Coach Howard basketball show and the high school season with the All-Ohio Showcase special. Thank you very much for joining me, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to bringing you the best coverage of high school basketball, because you deserve it, and Central Ohio deserves it, and it's just an honor to be able to do it. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.